Barend, welcome again. Today we're breaking down a topic that is discussed so often with customers and prospects, and it is the utilization of the ATS. I think one of the most heard questions we hear from our customers is, "Hey, I want to switch ATSs. Do you have a
Yes.
recommendation for a new ATS?"
Yeah.
And like 99 out of 100 times, we always recommend, well, don't switch. It's taking you a lot of time and probably will not improve much because most ATSs are the same. Obviously, there are differences, but the impact of a switch is usually not that big. But what we do talk about a lot is, how do I utilize your ATS? How do I utilize my ATS better? And what can we do, especially with these renewed possibilities that we have with adding unstructured information to the ATS? How is it improving the workflow of the recruiter? So I want to talk about that with you today. How is AI helping recruiters to utilize the ATS much and much better?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I want to talk with you about your favorite use case, simple use case, where with an existing technology stack, recruiters can immediately leverage the ATS better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not my favorite use case, but indeed it's something that everybody can start doing
Okay, cool.
tomorrow, right? There is not
Yeah.
a reason not to do it. And
It's
I also
it's your
agree
favorite. Be honest. Be honest.
I love it so much. Now, I also really relate to what you're saying. Like in business, sometimes they say, don't try to throw money at a problem. And in
Yeah.
recruitment, sometimes they try to throw a new ATS at a problem. Like,
Yeah.
I have a problem, let's buy a new ATS.
Yeah, it's also
And it's-
simple, right? Because it's something everybody's unhappy with usually. So you think you solve a problem for your team.
Yeah. No,
But you don't solve a
almost
problem
never.
for the company.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But it never solves the problem.
No.
And I think what happens with ATS is, like with any software, you utilize maybe 20% of it. So you have a lot of capabilities in the ATS, but they're just not used by humans because, it just takes too much effort. And I think we had a lot of discussions with customers about, should we change ATSs? I think we were also often there when they implemented new applicant tracking systems. And I think if you look at ATS systems, it looks like you always have two stages. When you buy the ATS and you set it up, and you have all this ambition and you understand what you could accomplish with the ATS if it's used well. And based on that ambition, you set up your system. That's stage one. And then you pull the switch and then reality hits in. And then you see that a lot of these great ideas are just not coming to life because it takes too much effort for humans to do it, to fill in the data, to keep the processes nitty gritty. And if that doesn't happen, I mean, in the end, an ATS, you say there's not a lot of difference. In the end, an ATS is just about storing data and protecting a process. And if one of the two fails, the whole system and a lot of things that you could do with it fall apart.
Yeah.
And I think that's where AI can start to just take over from humans and solve the problem and leverage all the capabilities an ATS has to offer. And a simple use case there is when you set up an ATS, this new shiny ATS, you decide on all the fields that you would like to have of an applicant, right? All their education, what they did, what they like, especially when you have an agency, right? What is the candidate looking for? Because that is the core, that's the backbone of the future relationship that you will build with that candidate. Yep. But also for analytics, right? Why do candidates didn't pick a role? To learn, to have BI, to make your company better. And the big challenge is people do interviews, but they don't fill in all those fields. And if you don't fill in those fields, well, there is no value there.
And if they do fill in the fields, it's taking you like
30 minutes,
between 20 and 40 minutes after each interview to actually do it. And what I see is that companies just limit the amount of information that they want to store because it's basically burdening the recruiters to store all this information.
You would love to have all this information. It takes too much time, so you limit the information. And then if the recruiter doesn't see why it was valuable to store that in relationship to the current assignment of filling a position, then they don't do it.
Exactly.
So simple solution, let AI fill all those fields. And that's something, we're doing on a daily basis now.
Yep.
Recruiters have meetings with applicants. A lot is discussed. There is stuff discussed that's relevant today, but a lot of stuff is discussed that could be relevant in the future. Let AI listen to all those meetings, fill in all the fields. And then the fun part is, it doesn't matter if it's 10 fields or 100 fields or, well, 1,000 fields.
Yeah.
Store as much as you want. And then finally, you can do all those things that an ATS would allow you to do if you have the information at hand.
Yep. So it means the use case is, in this case, I can go to a practical example of one of our customers. Hey, I'm an agency. We are hiring finance professionals, and we're doing interviews to build a talent pool in a specific vertical. And we store all this information in our ATS. So after each interview, maybe and often during the interview, they type in the fields in the ATS. And each interview takes 20 to 30 minutes to do ATS admin for each candidate they speak to. And then this information lives in the system so that other people can work with it. The use case that is there to actually make an impact on time and quality is that you integrate your ATS with solutions that actually feed this data immediately into the ATS. And the good part is it's not done by a human, so it's short like answers, but it actually is capable to give much more rich information. And it actually is capable to say, hey, if you have 20 fields, I don't mind if it's 20 fields. If there are 60 fields, it's 60 fields. If there's an open field with like unstructured information, that's also fine. So every person who is still doing that work in the ATS is literally stealing a lot of his or her time, correct?
Yeah, on admin work. Another use case that I like is that this only works for agencies, but if you're an agency and you work for clients, always part of the discussion with the applicant is, do you know this client? And then the applicant gives his honest opinion on what he knows about the client and what the perception of that client is. AI can simply extract that information, summarize it, store it in the ATS, and then later create a report for the client explaining what is the perception of all the persons we spoke to about your company. And we know that kind of information builds trust in the relationship with the client. So the next time there's an assignment, you will be the vendor of choice again. So it's not only taking away admin work, it's also just being a better agency.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I fully agree. So, and what's the impact on the candidate, you think?
Yeah, what I like is that because I love the human. I am in technology, of course, but I love the human component of recruitment, the actual discussion. And I think a lot of recruiters are also in the industry because they honestly want to create a great match between a person and a job opportunity.
Yep.
And to do so, what you can't do is be typing all the time. So I think what it means for the applicant is that he is not in this, question and answer game where he wants to share who he is and the recruiter is just typing. No, it's going to be an honest conversation and the whole admin happens on the background. And I think that's really valuable for the applicant and for the relationship.
Isn't it crazy that literally in a year time, we almost forget that this is like a major job of the recruiter, just putting in that information in systems, communicating that to other colleagues. And it's in many cases 30 to 40% of the total work week. And it's crazy that with simple steps, you can make so much impact on the organization and on the candidate.
That's the thing. There is nothing that holds you back. There are, of course, AI opportunities out there that would force you to reinvent your organization.
Yeah.
This is just something you can implement in a week and it's there.
Yeah, exactly. And so I spoke to a lot of questions that has been asked also to people that ask us the question about, is it also possible to do this with phone conversations or even live interviews? Because everybody knows, you have solutions like Carve joining interviews to do this, but maybe it's good to touch upon that really quickly, that there are a lot of possibilities for that too.
Yeah, definitely. As long as you can capture information, AI can process it. And the cool thing about AI is that it can fill in a lot of blanks. So if there is an interview and you would record it, the AI definitely knows who is the candidate and who is the person conducting the interview. So, and from a data perspective, you should be present with AI in all those interviews. Because often that's how you connect the dots, right? If you have the collective information of all the candidate touch points, including also the resume, also motivation letters, but all the interviews, the phone screening, Well, that whole thing paint a picture on who that candidate really is, and that picture fills in the fields in the
Yeah.
ATS.
Yeah. Okay, Baron, thanks so much for breaking this topic down. With simple solutions, we can literally make the ATS much more valuable. And actually, that's adding much more value, and it's up and running really fast. And you don't have to switch platforms or switch ATSs, and actually, be confronted with the same problem again.
Yeah.
So
I think if you watch this video, go to your calendar, just go 1 week from now and say no more admin, and it's done. That easy.
Okay, Baron, thanks for this breakdown, and we'll see you soon.